Hello students, today we will start with the development of GUT. In first lecture of GUT or genitourinary tract, we will discuss the development of kidneys and ureter. First we will discuss the development of kidneys. Now this kidney, the development, it begins in the fourth week from intermediate mesoderm. So this is the intermediate mesoderm. The vertebrate kidney has passed through the stages of evolution. So those stages are pronephros, which is actually seen in fishes, mesonephros, seen in fishes and amphibians, metanephros, seen in human beings. Now, because of the evolutionary history, the history of kidney is repeated during the development of human kidney. So it is the classical example of ontogeny repeats phylogeny. Now, before starting with the actual development of the kidney, so this knowledge is very much needed. So, how the pronephros it appears and disappears. So, initially it appears in the cervical region of the fetus. It is non-functional and completely it disappears. Its duct persists called pronephric duct, which subsequently fused with the mesonephros and formed the mesonephric duct. You can see in the diagram. It persists in some cyclostome and some fishes. Mesonephros is appearing in the thoracolumbar region, functional for a short period, then disappear. The series of excretory tubules develop in mesonephros, draining into mesonephric duct. Most of the tubules disappear and few of them are modified and take part in the formation of vasa efferent of testes. So this is the remnant of mesonephros in human. Now coming to the metanephros, so it appears in the sacral region, it drains into the ureter. You can see here it persists permanently in humans. So this part is basically concerned with the development of the human kidney. So rest of these two, pronephros and mesonephros, evolutionary stages, they appear, they disappear, leaving some remnant. Now, development of the permanent kidney. The kidney develops in the sacral region during the 5th week of intrauterine life. Now, if we see the adult kidney, it has two components. One is excretory system and another is the collecting system. So, hence it develops from the two distinct sources, that is metanephric mesoderm. So, this is the metanephric mesoderm and ureteric bud. So, this is our main concern, that is metanephros and ureteric bud, which are going to form the permanent kidneys. Now coming to the first system, that is collecting system of the kidney, the ureteric bud arises from the mesonephric duct. You can see here. It grows cranially towards the metanephros, but it is passing behind the peritoneal cavity. The distal end of the ureteric bud, it becomes capped by the metanephric blastema. Now the growing end of the ureteric bud becomes dilated like a funnel to form the pelvis of the ureter and renal pelvis. The renal pelvis undergo repeated division. You can see in the diagram. So this renal pelvis is dividing into major calyces, then minor calyces, then collecting duct, and then the collecting tubule. Now these collecting tubules thus formed vary in number from 1 to 3 millions. Coming to the development of excretory system of the kidney, the cells of the metanephric blastema come in contact with each collecting tubule. They condense around the collecting tubule to form the solid clump of cells called as metanephric cap. This metanephric cap is converted into metanephric vesicle. This metanephric vesicle is initially pear-shaped. Later on it becomes S-shaped with the proximal and distal end. This proximal end of the S shape is narrow and abuts on the collecting tubule. The distal end of this tubule, it forms the Bowman's capsule. It becomes invaginated by the tuft of capillaries to form the renal glomerulus. Now the excretory unit consists of then glomerular capsule, then PCT or proximal convoluted tubule, then loop of Henle, then distal convoluted tubule. So this distal end of the collecting tubule is in close relation to the collecting tubule. So that is continuing with the collecting duct, then the minor calyces, then major calyces, and then the renal pelvis. So this whole unit is formed. Now coming to the important part of this kidney, that is ascent of kidney. Initially it lies in the sacral region. With differential growth of the abdominal wall, the subsequent development of the embryo occur, which causes the kidney to ascend to the lumbar region. The kidney come in adult position in 9th week. So this is how the ascent of the kidney is happening. So from sacral to lumbar region. Now this initially metanephros, it is receiving the blood supply from the median sacral vessels when it is lying in the pelvic cavity or sacral region, but when ascent occur, the branches of the aorta they take over the charge. So basically, physiologically, the kidney ascends for two reasons. One is it faces space crunch in smaller pelvic cavity, and second is it ascends in search of better blood supply. So it reaches its final position at L2 vertebra. Now, what are the anomalies of position? Once we understand the ascent of the kidney, so these are the anomalies which can happen with the position of the kidney. If it fails to ascend, it lies in the sacral region. If incomplete ascent occur, definitely it is lying in the lower lumbar vertebra. Then if over ascent is occurring, it is lying in the thoracic cavity. Both kidneys may lie on one side of the midline. They may lie one above the other. Now, when the ascent of the kidney is happening, the simultaneously the rotation of kidney is there. So initially hilum of the each kidney faces anteriorly. You can see in the diagram. So once the ascent of the kidney is happening, it rotates medially at 90 degree. Now the hilum of each kidney now faces medially. So keeping in mind this rotation during ascent, so what are the anomalies which can be seen? If the non-rotation happens, definitely the hilum will face anteriorly. Incomplete rotation, hilum is lying in between the anterior and medial position, so it is facing anteromedially. If reverse rotation happens, the hilum come to lie anterolaterally. So instead of medial rotation, it is happening laterally. Now, what are the congenital anomalies of kidney? So, one important anomaly is renal agenesis, which is called as absence of kidney. So, it occurs when ureteric bud fails to develop. The ureteric bud induces the metanephric tissue to form the metanephric blastema. So, it is basic main culprit is non-development of the ureteric bud. It is of two type, that is unilateral renal agenesis and bilateral renal agenesis. So what is the difference between these two? The unilateral and bilateral. The unilateral one is relatively common in comparison to bilateral renal agenesis. So unilateral is more commonly seen in males. It is asymptomatic and compatible with life. Other kidney, that is next kidney or other kidney hypertrophies to meet the requirement of the body. Normally it is detected in routine investigation. But in contrast to it, the bilateral renal agenesis, it is incompatible with life and newborn infant usually dies shortly after birth. It causes oligohydramnios that allows the uterine wall to compress the fetus. So it is the part of Porter syndrome. So other anomalies which can be seen with the bilateral renal agenesis is deformed limb, wrinkled skin, then abnormal facial expression. So, and fourth component is the bilateral renal agenesis. So that is Porter syndrome. Second anomaly in the development of the kidneys, duplication or multiplication of the kidneys. More than one kidney may be present either on one or both sides, occurs due to early division of the ureteric bud. Then pancake kidney, two kidneys fuse to form a single mass that lies in the midline or on one side. Then is congenital polycystic kidney. Several numerous cysts filled with urine are present in the substance of kidney. Embryological basis of this is, earlier it was thought that it occurs when excretory and collecting tubules they fail to connect with each other. So earlier it was thought like that, but occurs due to the abnormal dilatation of the different parts of the uriniferous tubule, especially the loop of Henle. So uriniferous tubule, that is PCT, loop of Henle, DCT. So in these the abnormal dilatation it happens. This is the actual reason for congenital polycystic kidney. So it is relatively common hereditary disease and clinically associated with the cyst of liver, pancreas and lungs. So what are the different types of polycystic kidney? It is of two types, that is childhood type and adult type. If we see the prevalence, it is seen in 1 in 5,000 birth in case of childhood type, but adult type is seen in 1 in 600 birth. So next, what are the features of childhood type is, it is autosomal recessive, disease manifested in childhood, more progressive, Renal failure occur in infancy, death occur at an early age. But in adult type, it is autosomal dominant. Disease manifests above the age of 20 years. It is less progressive. Death occur at late age. Coming to the horseshoe shaped kidney, the lower pole of both the kidneys are fused. During ascent of kidney, the horseshoe shaped kidney is trapped under inferior mesenteric artery, hence it lies at the level of lower lumbar vertebra. Ureter arise from the interior surface of the kidney, pass in front of the isthmus in a caudal direction. You can see here. Occur because sometimes the kidneys are pushed so close together during their passage through arterial fork formed by the umbilical artery, and their lower end get fused. Upper pole of the both the kidneys they may fuse. So this is normally horseshoe shaped kidneys fused in the lower portion, but sometime it is fused in the upper part too. Then come to the lobulated kidney. The persistence of normal lobulated kidney, that is metanephric kidney, is lobulated throughout the fetal life, but this condition usually disappears during the first year of life. So if it persists, definitely it will lead on to the adult lobulated kidney. So this is the next condition. Then supernumerary or aberrant renal arteries, so relatively common, represent persistent fetal renal arteries. The fetal renal arteries successively in sequence from the aorta as the kidneys ascend from the pelvic to the lumbar region. It is clinically important because they may cross the pelviureteric junction and obstruct the outflow of urine, leading to hydroamnios. So if these are the renal arteries, so these are the supernumerary artery crossing in front of the pelviureteric junction. So these arteries may press this junction and can lead on to the hydronephrosis. Then transposition of the kidney. Both the kidneys may lie on one side, may lie one above the other, may lie side by side. Ureter of displaced kidney crosses to the opposite side. So these are the conditions related with the position of the kidney. Coming to the development of ureter. So we have discussed the ureteric bud. Now the ureter develops from a part of the ureteric bud arising from the mesonephric duct. It is the part between renal pelvis and vesico-urethral canal or part of cloaca. You can see here. So this is the part of cloaca in this portion. So this part of the ureter is basically developing from the ureteric bud, which is lying between the renal pelvis. This is the renal pelvis and vesico-urethral canal. So this portion it forms the ureter. So if that portion is not formed or any anomaly is happening, so what are those anomalies which can be there? First is duplication of ureter, maybe partial or complete. Double renal pelvis is there. Upper end of the ureter presents two renal pelvises, that is upper and lower, draining into upper and lower group of calyces respectively, occurs due to premature division of ureteric bud near its termination. If its concept is clear regarding the ureter, once it is arising from that cloaca portion, so it is moving towards the metanephric blastema, so that portion is going to form the ureter, rest of the portion beyond the renal pelvis. So basically, or you can say the proximal to the renal pelvis. So if that early division happens, so definitely the duplication of the ureter it is there. Now bifid ureter is upper end of the ureter is bifid, but in lower third of their course the two ureter they join and open by a common opening or orifice into the urinary bladder, occurs due to premature division of the ureteric bud. Double ureter occur due to the division of the ureteric bud as it arises from the mesonephric duct. In such cases, one ureter crosses across the other and may produce urinary obstruction. You can see here in the diagram. Ectopic ureter. Ureter does not open into urinary bladder at its usual site. So then it is ectopic ureter. So abnormal sites of ectopic ureteric openings are, in case of male, it is the lower part of the bladder. You can see here. Prostatic urethra, then seminal vesicle. So you can see these are the seminal vesicle. Then they may open into rectum. So rectum, seminal vesicle, lower part of the bladder, then the prostatic urethra. So this is the prostatic urethra. So these are the abnormal position in case of males. In case of females, lower part of the bladder you can see in the diagram, then it may be in the urethra, then it may be in the vagina. You can see here it may open into the vagina or it may open into the rectum. So these are the abnormal position. Hydroureter. Congenital ureteric obstruction may result in dilatation of the ureter. You can see in the diagram. So post-caval ureter, right ureter may hook around the left side of the inferior vena cava. So once the hooking is it is hooking around the inferior vena cava, so that is known as post-caval ureter. So thank you very much. In next slides or in next video we will discuss the development of the urinary bladder. Thank you very much.